Hey guys, Mr. Mini Painter here, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how I painted Duke Thomas from the Batman Gotham City Chronicles game by Monolith. Known as one of Gotham's newer heroes, Duke brings youthful energy, resourcefulness and a distinctive style to the Bat family. This miniature really captures his heroic stance, his tactical outfit and his signature details, making him an exciting character to paint. Now, I'll take you step by step through priming, base colors, and shading and highlighting this model, with tips on making his costume, and especially the yellows, really pop out with some easy use of contrast paints, while keeping the details crisp and dynamic. And I'm also going to focus on painting accessories like his gauntlets, his utility belt, the mask, to really bring out his personality. So brush is ready, it's time to bring Duke Thomas to life on your Gotham City tabletop. Alright, it's time to paint the Duke, and for this particular paint job we're going to use mainly contrast colors, and for that reason I primed them in a light gray primer. I'm using gray sear as it's nice and bright, and we're going to use bright colors, so that's usually a good way to start. Now the first contrast color I'm using is Black Templar, and Black Templar is a nice contrast color because it's kind of transparent. You see the gray shining through in comparison to, for example, Black Legion, which is a very solid black color. Of course, you can paint this model with just black, like an Abaddon black as well, but then you have to highlight the colors as you go. And for this, it's a tutorial about how this can be done very nice, very quick, but with a very acceptable result. I'm not mainly a fan of contrast paints, but for this particular model this was the unique way to go actually. So here you see what the progress is up until now. So I also did the belt, some striping and some straps around his waist and arms here, the gloves. And it's time to move on to the next color, and the next color is Iron Jaws Yellow. As this character is mainly yellow and black, we've covered the majority of the model already, so way to go. This Iron Jaws Yellow is nice and bright, and when using contrast paints you kind of work opposite to regular paints. With regular paints you start dark and you brighten it up by highlighting it. With contrast paints, you start bright and darken it down in the shaded areas. So it's a different approach. One is not better or easier than the other, but this is just another way of working. And I think it's kind of fun to go back and forth between regular painting and contrast painting. And I sometimes combine them in my paint jobs as well. Next paint, Leadbelcher, the only non-contrast paint I'm using here, but for the metal parts with his weapons I wanted them to be nice and shiny. Next up, I'm using Catachan Flesh Tone. I could have done Gulliman Flesh as a contrast paint for the face, but I wanted a darker skin tone, so this Catachan Flesh is a perfect way to start. Highlighting that with some Bugman's Glow. There's just a tiny bit of face showing, so it's just the lower part actually. I'm shading that with some Agrexert shade. And once this is done and dried, you're done with the face. Now I'm shading back with contrast paints again, using Iron Jaws Yellow, which is more of an orangey look and perfect for shading our previously painted Iron Jaws Yellow. So this way you get a nice differentiation in colors. Stormhost Silver was used to create some extra sharpness to the blade. and then some dawnstone to add some extra brightness to the black we painted before. I wasn't really going to do this, but I think a tiny bit of highlight adds to the realism of this model. It gives the mini some extra definition, some extra texture. I'm using a dry brush while doing so that way you can kind of wipe it on the larger surfaces. And then I'm going back to Black Templar, painting in the visor, darkening it down just on the sides here and there. So there is some shine, but also some black sharpness. Then Mechanica Standard Gray I used to paint the base, and that means that we're nearing the end of this video already. Once this is fully dried, you're going to use some non-oil to let those cracks reappear. And you can add some extra colors here if you want. For example, some Agrex Earthshade, as I'm doing here. You kind of blend those colors together so you get some dirtiness and an uneven surface. Last step is dry brushing that with Gray Sear to kind of blend all those colors together and create some extra brightness here and there on the very edges of those cracks. And there's our final result for Duke. Well, this was a very short video on how to use contrast paints from this particular mini. I hope you enjoyed the video and it was of any help to you guys. And if it was, please leave some comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And please consider following me on Patreon, where I'll be painting a lot more Batman Gotham City Chronicles miniatures. Leave a comment below and follow the channel if you like. I'd really love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Bye bye!